Hey guys, I am back. I am so sorry for the delay. I've been traveling for the past couple of weeks now and preparing to travel. In this video today, I want to break down the four main types of business entities that you can file for. This is completely new to a lot of people, so I just want to break it down in the simplest way possible. So pretty much what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to provide the definition for these four main types of businesses: sole proprietorship, LLC or limited liability company, S corporation, and C corporations. And then I'll continue with about 3 to 4 facts about each of those and thoughts that you should keep in mind. So first we have sole proprietorships, also known as sole traders. These are unincorporated single owner businesses. So pretty much this is the fastest way to obtain some sort of representation in the business world. It allows you to file for an EIN number. All you really need is a name and to elect yourself as a sole proprietor. This one owner pays all personal income taxes for the business. So any money made as a sole proprietor, you pay personal income taxes on that. There are no tax benefits for being a sole proprietor. It's treated similar to what I would believe how employees pay taxes. So when you receive your paycheck, the government takes taxes out of that. So very similar concept, but not necessarily the same. This was the first entity that I ever created just because I wanted a fast way to set up my Amazon FBA business. All I did was I went on irs.gov, selected sole proprietor, and was able to select or create an EIN number just based on the fact that I had selected to be a sole proprietor. This is usually done by individuals that are just looking to get started in business, but their business has a very low risk associated with it. So for example, these are your freelancers, your virtual assistants, or your photographers. In terms of hierarchy, when it comes to these business entities, I would say that the sole proprietorship is at the bottom of the totem pole just because it does not offer as much protection as the others do. You get no tax benefits when it comes to this. It is fairly easy to set up, but again, the liability and the tax breaks are crucial when starting a business. Next, we have limited liability companies or LLCs, which you're probably more familiar with. In a previous video, I went through a step-by-step process on how to file your LLC on LegalZoom. I did get a lot of comments mentioning the fact that you can file this through your state for free. Well, you do pay the filing fee, which is true. You can do that. I provided this video because LegalZoom is a convenience, very similar to TurboTax. It makes the process very seamless. You don't have to stress about whether or not you're missing some information or whether or not the paperwork is going to go through. So that's the video on how to file your LLC, link down below if you're interested. Let's get into the definition of an LLC. An LLC is a business structure in the United States where the owners are not liable for either the debts or the liabilities of a company. This is actually the first official entity that I filed for back in 2019. I say official because I was not liable for anything like I was for the sole proprietorship. This is usually done by individuals who have established or plan to establish a business where they generate cash flow or where they have employees or they plan to make profits in the future. Quick tip, if you are planning to file an LLC, make sure that your operating agreement is always up to date. If you need to get a lawyer to help you out with that, I highly recommend it. It's a great investment because if you are a multi-member LLC, things change all the time, and I promise you they will. So you want to make sure that your operating agreement is something that you and all your partners can agree upon. Even if you are a single member LLC, I still recommend that you have this operating agreement should you bring on partners in the future. So now let's get into the more advanced types of business entities, starting with the S Corp. An S Corp allows business owners to pass income directly to shareholders without having to pay federal corporate taxes. I know it sounds a little complicated, but again, I'm gonna get into exactly what that means in later videos and why this is beneficial for your business. As an S Corp, you must be an individual, a trust, or an estate, or any type of special organization such as a church. S corporations offer similar liability protection, ownership, and membership advantages as a C corporation. So in order to become an S corporation, you have to file Form 2553 with the IRS. I recommend using a CPA for this or some sort of tax agent content to help you out with this process. I did file in 2019, the first time filing taxes for my LLC. I did file as an S corporation. I had help with the CPA, so be sure to get some advice from them before doing so. You can do it on your own, but again, it's more beneficial to have an expert than to do it on your own. I'm not a tax agent, nor am I a lawyer, disclaimer here, so please keep that in mind. I will say one of the biggest benefits of being an S Corp or filing for an S Corp is that you get to pass income or any sort of deductions directly to shareholders, and this becomes really beneficial as you start gaining profits, or even if you have losses in your businesses. This allows your shareholders to kind of get the benefits of those profits, and if it's losses, then they will be able to file losses on their personal tax returns as well. Now let's get into the most advanced form of business entity that I have chosen to speak about in today's video, and that is a C corporation. A C corp is a legal structure where the shareholders and the business owners are taxed separately from the actual business entity, unlike the S corporation. These are usually your publicly traded companies, think Google, Apple, Facebook, those sorts of companies where you can purchase stock and actually become a shareholder of that company publicly. The difference between a C corporation and S corporation, there are plenty, but one of the biggest differences is that as a C corporation, you're mandated to hold board meetings on a yearly basis, where your board of directors have to place votes on things such as business operations moving forward, CEO placements, and those sort of things. So before C corporations hand out dividends to their shareholders, they have to pay corporate taxes on their earnings. Once a shareholder receives their dividends, they then have to pay taxes on those dividends that they've received. As a C corporation, you have to have company bylaws on the main location where you do business. So very regulated as a C corporation. There are so many rules and things involved with that. As your company grows larger and larger, you'll be able to find the resources and get, all the things that you need to operate as a C corporation. And hopefully it'll make your life much easier when you do get to that point. C corporations do have to file annual reports, financial statements, all sorts of public documentation, especially because they are publicly traded companies for the most part, and so they want their shareholders to have full transparency into how the company is operating on a yearly basis or a quarterly basis. So this is really common if you're on Robinhood, you see that all these companies are always having their calls where they basically go over if they've met their earnings for the quarter or if they've fallen short, and this will typically fluctuate their stocks just depending on what the news is. So as a C corporation, you have to be very transparent with your shareholders. You're not the sole owner of the company, so you have to keep that in mind. As your business grows, more people become a part of it as far as the ownership goes, so keep that in mind. In later videos, I'll break down each entity type, providing both pros and cons to each for your benefit. And if you have any questions, be sure to comment down below, and I'll be sure to address those in the upcoming videos.